hot season back.
So do you think you've changed from when I first met you, that whatever it was, September,
Oh,
to now?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's,
Because I don't know. Sometimes I feel you meet a person once, and then later on you meet them and you think they're completely different. But I feel sometimes it's just that you are the person who's changed, and maybe they have stayed the same, and you can kind of you understand them better now that you're different or wiser or something.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think everyone's changing a little bit all the time, as we meet new people, as new things arise in the world, we all got to adjust and adapt to them. I think since since the fall, I've probably become a little bit more reserved, if you can believe it. I know I'm still definitely not the quiet kid sitting in the back of the classroom, but I think in the fall I was a little bit like crazy outgoing. I was very, very eccentric, very
Really
eclectic. I don't.
What does eclectic mean?
That's a good question. I'm actually not. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it means like to be just sort of like have a vibrant energy and outgoing, and not that I'm not anymore, but in the fall, I was a lot more act first, think about it later, and I think I've balanced out since then. I think since making some bad decisions, I teaches you to think a little bit before you act, which is not the fun way to live life always.
Yeah, because I don't know. Don't people say, "Oh, the wiser you get, you just stop overthinking things"?
Yeah, the more automatic things become, but it's hard to be full of wisdom at 22. It's not like we're old men sitting on top of mountains, like with our canes drawing circles in the dirt. We've still got a lot of wisdom and experience to gain, I think, and I think for me personally, like I wanted to have this self-image where I was 21 back in the fall, and I was like, I'm 21. I've basically seen it all. It's the end of college. How much more can there really be to learn about myself? And that's a pretty dangerous attitude. I think you gotta keep living life with an open mind. And so I think that since the fall, I've tried to take life a little bit more one day at a time, putting one foot in front of the other, but looking at where I'm stepping instead of just getting off running each day, racing towards the end of the week and everything.
Could you maybe give some examples about, I don't know, maybe the things that you previously used to do and now maybe have somewhat changed? Because I find it difficult to picture. Because you're saying kind of the same thing, but it's with a different, I don't know, maybe more thinking it out more.
Yeah. Well, I guess the first big change I made is that I used to I used to smoke a lot of weed, Senchy. I used to be Puffmaster Gates.
Okay.
Just blowing clouds, pure fumes out of my lungs every day, and I think that was a lot of fun. I viewed it sort of as like a hallmark of maturity at the time.
Too.
Honestly, to smoke weed all the time. Which sounds, to me, I think now sounds a little bit crazy. But at the time, I was like, yeah, I'm an adult. I get to make my own decisions. I get to take my own responsibilities. And so this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I want to live life. I want to be able to smoke as much weed as possible all the time, party as much as possible all the time, and I think that sort of caught up to me. I sort of started to feel like my head was always in the clouds all the time.
Yeah, I feel that.
So since the fall, I haven't smoked weed once in like the past 6 months, and it's just been super freeing. Putting that sort of restriction on yourself to be like, this is the one thing I won't do, I'm not going to do. It sounds imprisoning. It sounds like it's more of a barrier to action, but it it is literally a barrier to action, but it's a road to freer thought, I think. It definitely made my head run a little bit faster, at the very least. I didn't have all this THC just like blowing up, sparkling all the time, like fireworks in my head. And yeah, I don't know. Do you smoke weed?
Bro, because I can relate to exactly what you're talking about. Because I think I went through the phase too where it was too much. And maybe far more than it should be. And yeah, bro, like it gets cloudy or you get slow actually. And
Yeah.
that was not good. So I can exactly relate because I think last year I was more like that. So yeah, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, no, temperance is I think now I've realized temperance is the more mature thing. And it's not that you should, everyone should never smoke weed ever, but I think there is this pervasive attitude in our culture right now that says that it kind of honestly like encourages smoking weed, especially just because the excitement around it becoming legal and everything. I think there's this belief that like it's not as bad for you as alcohol. It's not addictive,
Bro.
and it depends on the person. I think anything can be addictive. It doesn't even
100%.
have to be a drug, but drugs especially can always be addictive.
Dude, I was listening to a podcast and a person got addicted to water. And I know it sounds funny when we hear it, and I think I told you before.
Yeah.
But if people can get addicted to water, bro,
They
anything can be.
Anything. And I don't even like water that much. I mean, I drink it every day, but like,
Yeah.
I think it just goes to show like habits are going to be formed because the body is good at forming habits. Like, we're animals. We're rational creatures. We want to give the things we want to take the things that we know how they treat us, and so that's just where addiction comes from. I think not a specialist, not medical advice officially by any means. But
No, bro, but yeah, I know, like, because when you've gone through it, I feel there are some things that even experts wouldn't know, like, as long as they've not gone through it. And I think, yeah, one thing is interesting, dude, because I don't know, you feel. I don't know, you don't. I realize you don't like yourself when you're addicted to certain things.
yeah,
It's kind of like there's a part of you that says, okay, that's not good. And there's a part of you that says, I want to do it. And then the part of you that should be kind of on the higher scale, should be the adult, kind of takes the back seat. And the child is like, let's just do whatever's fun in the short term.
yeah. No, that's a good way of putting it. Part of you just takes the back seat towards like these instinctive drives that like you say you have control over, but I don't know. What is control? How much control can we know that we have over ourselves? Do you think free will is real? Free will, not free wheel. Free wheeling.
Free Willin' with Bob Dylan? Nah,
with
that's
Bob
a good
Dylan.
album.
That's very real. Oh yeah, Bob Dylan is very real. There's no denying that one.
Yeah, bro. So free will, I think it actually doesn't matter whether free will exists or not. For example, if something is already determined, like if this podcast was determined 10,000 years ago, it would make no difference to me because I didn't know it was determined 10,000 years ago. What I just did was say, yo, Sean, want to do this podcast.
Yeah.
So, no, bro, I just feel I know I have control over my actions, as in, I know I can do certain things, like I can react to things in a certain way. For example, if something bad happens, like maybe I fail a grade or I lose a soccer match like I did earlier, I have control over at least my actions or my reactions.
Yeah.
So these days I realize you can take almost anything, like 99, probably everything, positively.
Yeah.
I lost and I was like, okay, that means I need to get better. For next year, I'm going to bulk up, I'm going to get stronger, I'm going to practice more. That means it'll actually make me a better player in the long run, or something like that. Even when I fail a grade or something, I'm like, okay, that just means when I put in more effort, they're going to know, or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
So I don't know, but what do you think about free will?
Well, I think I like your attitude about it better than mine.
No, bro. Like, everyone's attitude is their own answer.
Yeah. No, everyone's attitudes are equally, I think I think I worry about it honestly more than that. I think you're right though that it is got to be kind of freeing to know that everything it's going to happen has already been planned to happen. And it takes a lot of the burden off the self, I think. A lot of the shame and the guilt goes away if you can just see something happening and say to yourself, well, that's just the way it always was going to be. But I think it can lead to a lot of nihilistic tendencies. If you just think that like everything's predetermined to happen, then nothing really matters what decision you're going to make. And I think what you're saying is more true, that you gotta take this attitude of everything could be determined, everything might not be, but it doesn't make a difference if you don't know what the outcome is going to be ahead of time. Like, how can you say it was if something is going to happen, no matter what, but you don't know what the outcome is going to be?
Yeah.
How can you get upset or not be surprised by the outcome anyways, because you didn't know going ahead.
Yeah.
But no, it's caused me I think a lot of existential crises since I was in like 8th grade, watching people debate on YouTube, is free will real? Man, I keep messing up. Free Willy. Never seen that movie.
Something about a whale?
Yeah, it's something about a whale.
Oh, I think I remember.
A whale who's not very free.
Yeah. Just as a whole.
Yeah. Let's close the topic back in. What do you think about SeaWorld?
What's that?
What do you think about aquariums and those where they hold like
animals?
Well, where they hold animals.
These days, I don't like that, because I recently went to a zoo in North Carolina, and it was supposed to be this like big famous zoo with like the biggest area for something, and animals were free, but you could see the gorillas, bro. They were like the skinniest gorillas I've ever seen, bro. Yeah. Like a gorilla that you see on YouTube, they scare the hell out of you, because they're like real gorillas chewing celery or something in the wild. But those gorillas, skinny, bro. And oh man, they just look so it's like
unnatural,
and it's I don't know. I sometimes also feel like gorillas would rather die, probably. Not those gorillas, but imagine you take a wild silverback gorilla, and try to put him there. He would rather probably die trying to claw his way out, and go out in the wild rather than be stuck there. So
yeah, gorillas are insane. Gorillas kind of scare me, I'm gonna be honest. I saw some videos on YouTube and read some stuff online about these gorillas that in like the South American jungle and in the Amazon, they fight each other to death in the most brutal ways imaginable. Like they'll start tearing other gorillas limbs from limbs and start hitting them with it, just to sort of like intimidate and scare the other gorillas out of trying to fight them back. I guess that's where the term going apeshit comes from, because they go apeshit on each other.
It's so scary because, okay, a gorilla is what, 500 maybe, I don't know how many pounds. But that pound of gorilla is not 1 pound of gorilla is not 1 pound of human. Because even if there's a gorilla that's 100 pounds and I'm 100 pounds, bro, that 100-pound gorilla is going to destroy me. Yeah. Because his muscle is different.
It is a dense 100 pounds, dense 500 pounds of gorilla.
And dude, they get it all just from greens, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I like that about monkeys, though, that they're all vegetarian. I feel like that's something.
Some are omnivores, no?
Some.
Like us?
Some of them like us are omnivores, but not like me. I'm a vegetarian. Okay. And so to me that speaks a lot about the intelligence and also just the sheer capacity of vegetarians to fuck shit up.
Yeah, bro.
Like I've talked to my dad about it, who has tried to convince me not to be vegetarian for about the past 8 years. Most of my family is like, really, you're not going to eat meat? Because I come from a family of a lot of hunters, too. Ooh, okay. And they always bring up this natural argument that it's natural to eat meat, that, that's what predators do in the wild. We're just the top of the food chain. We're number one. But then you look back at evolutionary history, it's like these animals that we come from, they weren't eating meat. They still put themselves pretty damn high up this food chain. They managed to keep themselves out, and they would fight animals. It's not like they would just curl over and cower and die if something came up and attacked them. But monkeys didn't eat meat. They didn't need to eat meat, and I wonder if that seriously is maybe where intelligence evolved from. Like I wonder if
from leaves.
Or from, the nutrients
greens.
that they ate, like the leaves, eating fruits. Most animals don't eat fruits, but a lot of the most intelligent ones will eat fruits,
Mm-hmm.
And these other big animals, my favorite animals in the animal kingdom, a lot of them are vegetarian. Like elephants, I think elephants are... Elephants probably my favorite animal.
Pretty cool, bro.
They're vegetarians, and elephants celebrate the death
of someone,
of their own family members. Well, not like celebrate. They don't like get super excited about it, but they bury their dead.
Yeah. Which is too cool.
That is cool. I wonder if that means that like elephants have their own elephant religion going on.
Yeah.
And it's mysterious. What's your favorite animal?
My favorite animal? I don't know, man. I don't know. But the qualities it must have are kind of like strong will, strong will, strong mind. So I don't know. Maybe it's not an animal, but it's not a specific species.
Yeah.
Maybe just a type of animal. When I see it and I know it has heart, it's like, can I give it its all and not care? Or it does what it wants. It won't accept anything else, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. You a pet person?
Pet person? I guess. I like dogs. I have dogs.
Yeah?
At least back home.
That's good.
And what about you?
Yeah, I have a dog. I love him with all my heart. I love King. He's getting a little old now, though. Once you see dogs start to slow down,
his name is King.
Name is King. He's the king of the household. What he
us.
says goes. We live by King's decree.
Of course. I came from monarchy.
I got a few cats. We've picked up a few cats over the years. A lot of strays. I remember the first pet we really had was my cat named Sally. I was walking home from school one day. It was Valentine's Day, middle of February. Cold as hell out, like -10, -20, snow on the ground everywhere. And I'm walking home from school, and I hear this meowing. And I see this cat. This cat runs up to me, and I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cute cat. Very skinny, super small. Must have been like less than a month old. Like could hold the cat in your hand. That kind of size. And I was like, hey, what's up, little guy? It was a girl. Didn't know that at the time. I gave her a little pet, and I walked away, and I didn't think much of it. And then she just kept meowing. Yeah, she kept meowing, and she started following me, and I was like, well, now I got to take her home. Because especially, you see an animal starving and freezing to death. What else are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, you can walk away, but that would not have pleased my elementary schooler heart. So, she followed me home, and I came inside, and I was like, Mom, we have a cat now. And she was like, what? No, get rid of that thing. My dad was allergic to cats, so at first he was not excited about it. But then I think Sally, that's my cat's name, just curled up on him that same night and started meowing. And he started sneezing, and his eyes started itching, but he was like, nope, I love this cat. We're keeping it. And so that's how I got my first cat. She followed me home on Valentine's Day. My first love. Now, of course, she's like, I don't know, probably like 14, 15 years old. And
she's still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive. Cats live like twice as long as dogs. Cats live to be, I think,
40 years?
like, no, cats live to be like 20-ish, about 20-ish years old. Just before the legal drinking age, unfortunately for them.
I like that you notice these small things. Because I feel some people would never notice it, but such an interesting observation.
She's got the softest fur. I'm sorry, I cut you off now. No,
bro, it's good. It's good.
About my cat. I miss my pets.
That's good, bro.
So
what do you think about pets? Because I was talking to someone else. I think it was with May, and she was like, maybe pets aren't the best because it's kind of wrong to have animals under your, purview or whatever that means. Or I just mean control.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
There's domesticated animals. There's a difference between having domesticated animals and non-domesticated animals. Like, I love cats, but I think there are people who want to hold on to like lions and tigers,
Yeah.
and that's wrong for a whole plethora of reasons. Like one, you are just asking for that cat to lose its mind one day because it's in this house in a a weird human cave
Yeah.
and just accidentally tear someone's arm off when it's trying to be playful one day with its big ass jaws. Some animals just aren't meant for the household, but there's other animals, like house cats. Like they've lived alongside humans for tens of thousands of years, and I mean, my cat followed me home. Like she must have wanted to be inside with humans.
I like that.
I think same with dogs. There are some animals that we just have like a deep connection to, a deep evolutionary connection to, and animals that we just like can clearly build good friendships with, going both ways. And we house the animals, we feed them, we give them medicine, little doggy vaccines, little cat antidepressants, and whatever.
Really?
Yeah. My dog had anxiety for a while, and which I didn't know
This is
dogs
news to me.
could get. I didn't know animals could be diagnosed with anxiety or depression. But no, my dog got like pretty bad seasonal depression. He would lick his front paws so badly he would start getting sores on them from licking them too much. And we were like, Doc, what's going on? They were like, yep, you have doggy depression.
How does it work? What's the reason behind doggy depression? And then, what's the reason behind human depression?
Oh.
Is there a reason?
Well, doggy depression, I think it was, we live in he's a big dog, and we live in a suburb of Detroit. We have a yard space that's like probably, twice the size of this room in total. And he just needs somewhere bigger to play than we're able to offer him. I mean, especially in the winter, it's not like you want to go outside very much. But when he does, he's kind of stuck to walking around in circles. Not literal small, like turn your head over your shoulder kind of circles. But animals are meant to be roaming around fields and forests and stuff, And so I guess that kind of gets into the morality of having dogs and pets. But we keep them alive. Life is beautiful. I think it's also one of those things where there aren't really spaces to have stray dogs anymore. You wouldn't want to just be like walking through Yosemite and a pack of stray dogs walks up on you.
But it'd just be like stray wolves,
Yeah, that's true. Wolves are still well, I guess they gotta have wolves at Yosemite, or I don't know where wolves live, but wolves. There are wild wolves, but dogs, like I said, like they're just domesticated. Like they're used to having humans around and like living sort of more in tribes than just in packs. And back to the doggy depression thing. I don't know exactly. It was sort of that small living space, and I think just like seasonal depression, like humans get seasonal depression.
Yeah, in the winter.
When it's all dark and it's cold, and you don't get enough sunlight, you don't get enough just outdoor activity time, and life just gets a little bit bleaker during those winter months when everything is literally gray outside. You become gray inside, and what I wasn't expecting though was doctors to prescribe my dog with Prozac. I was like, oh, okay.
Isn't that like human medication?
Yeah, it's human medication. I don't know if it was literally Prozac, but it was like Prozac. They were like, all right, here's these pills. Just put it in his kibble, in his doggy bowl, and he'll eat it right up alongside the rest of the dog food. And it'll make him less anxious and depressed. And damn, can't we just like give him like a really good bath or a good doggy bed or something? But no, that's the solution to that. But I do also think that, I mean, everything's a business, and it's not that all businesses are inherently evil, but like pharmaceutical industry, man, they really, I think, convince people of problems that aren't always problems. I mean, I think it's normal to feel depressed sometimes. It's normal to feel anxious sometimes. And the line at which people say, oh, that's unmanageable, that requires medication, you should be taking drugs in order to get over this anxiety or this depression, I think that's just a really unhealthy solution to these problems. Like no doctor's ever prescribed me, hey, you're feeling sad, why don't you go to the gym 3 days a week, or why don't you make sure you like eat your kale in the morning or something, Instead, it's all this, oh, you're feeling sad and depressed. Well, here's this super industrialized, compact pill just full of serotonin and dopamine that we're going to give you just to give you a little bit of a boost in your day. And I think that's got to be unethical. I don't understand the difference. And I know I'm because I'm not a pharmacologist or anything, but why is it that we're prescribing people medications for their depression and anxiety, and then at the same time, how can we be like, oh no, you can't be an alcoholic, you can't be a pothead? I feel like the two are just kind of endorsing the same things. They're both, it's still just drug addiction,
100%. I feel the same way. And I was reading a book, I think, and then it said, sometimes to not do something is also a very good thing. Because apparently George Washington or someone, he died because the doctors tried to cure him by letting out his blood.
Yeah.
Did I tell that to you again? I feel we talked about
No, yeah, you told that to me. You didn't tell it to our lovely audience.
So there was this example, and it was like George Washington died because his doctors tried to let out his blood through bloodletting, which was a practice until recently.
Yeah.
And the best thing in that case was to not do anything. And in the same book, they show me some statistics that say there are also many actions that happen right now that are similar to this. Apparently, they chose 100 kids at random, and they kept on sending them to doctors. And by the end, like a good majority of them had some disease. And so I always felt, that pharmaceuticals or even that whole industry, when they don't have to do anything, it's kind of like we go to someone who gives us something.
Right.
For example, I feel bad. I feel a toothache, and if a doctor tells me don't do anything, just brush your teeth well, I'll be like, nah. But if I go to another doctor and he's like, okay, I'm going to do all this thing, I'll be more inclined to believe action.
Yeah.
Even if actions are not the best.
Yeah.
So it's probably that.
No, I mean, if the doctors stopped, all of a sudden showed up one day and were like, actually, only half of these people have depression and anxiety. Well, all of a sudden, there's only half the doctors showing up to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really kind of evil, and it's predatory. It just preys on people's most vulnerable parts themselves, which are our emotions. I mean, there's nothing more fragile and vulnerable about a person than the emotions that they feel. If someone says, hey, I have the solution to your emotional problems, of course you're going to jump at it. Of course you're going to look to try to get those things resolved. But I think it's good to have a little bit of struggle with emotions. I think that really teaches people who they are, who they want to be. Fear, anxiety, depression, it's all a warning signal that exists for a reason. There are points where they go too far. You don't want to become suicidal. You don't want to stop leaving the house. But if you get up in front of a group of people and you think to yourself, oh man, I'm kind of nervous. I don't want to be judged by all these people. I have to give this big presentation and everyone's going to be making judgments about it and think different things about me. That's a good, healthy reaction. That keeps you from messing up the presentation a little bit. There's an anxiety disorder in the DSM-5 that is called social anxiety disorder.
What's DSM-5?
It's the diagnostics manual for psychologists and psychiatrists to say, this is what a mental illness is. These are its symptoms. Here's how we're going to characterize it and tell people that they're sick, basically, even when they're not sometimes. There was a new edition in the most recent version of it, which is the DSM-5, called social anxiety. Social anxiety disorder, which is not exactly what it sounds. The criteria for social anxiety disorder are the most mundane, menial things that you would think everyone goes through, like being nervous to get up and speak in front of a group of people, having worries that people are judging you when you talk to them and have conversations. Not debilitating anxiety, mind you. You know, it's not agoraphobia. It's not an anxiety that says, I can't go and get on a bus because there's going to be other people around, or I can't go to the store because I'm mortified of seeing people. It just an anxiety enough where you feel it, but it doesn't actually really prevent you from doing anything. It just makes you worried that it might prevent you from doing things. But a little bit of anxiety is healthy. I don't want to say it's good. It's not fun. But you should be having these thoughts going through. You should be having thoughts going through your head. Oh, I knocked the microphone over. About concern that you might accidentally do something to wrong someone else or upset someone else, because that's just how community works. I mean, you know, everyone's got to get along in order for us to get ahead into the next day, and so you got to be thinking about that.
I feel it's almost like if a person was stuck inside a clean, very clean, like sterilized room their whole life, and then they started walking out and they got sick and they got very, very ill. But if they had just lived their normal life and got a flu once or twice, or, you know, gotten sick once or twice here and there, maybe a touch of COVID or something, then when they'll be fitter in the long run, is what I feel. So when you try to avoid anxiety completely, being like, I want to feel great all the time, then I think you will eventually come up against something, because you can't really avoid it in life, I feel like, negative situations completely.
Right.
So when you do come against something that's completely surprising, you'll be like, whoa. But if you go through small anxieties or small negative feelings or dips, it's almost natural. Because who says sadness is also not a part of life? It's like a coin. And when you have heads, there should be tails. So it can't be, you can't have one without the other, is what I feel.
No, that's very wise, I think. I mean, it's hard to appreciate sadness when it's happening, but that's what gives you the perspective on what happiness is going to be.
Dude, I know this all just from drugs, because or I feel at least a part of it is from drugs, because, you know, dude, when you feel happy with drugs, there's going to be an equivalent crash.
Yep.
And, you know, it's like a seesaw we learned in psych. When you go up, you have to come down. But that also means when you go down, you have to come up, which I find beautiful.
Yeah. The drugs thing kind of loops us back into the talk about marijuana we were having earlier.
We can talk about marijuana a lot if you want.
I want to go back on that and just talk about how you're talking about the seesaw effect, because that was the other thing that really made me... Oh, I got some... that made me want to stop smoking weed, is that smoking weed every day. Have you ever smoked weed every day, or...
Yes.
And then... All right?
Trust, bro.
And then you do that for like a couple of weeks or maybe like a month. And then you're like, okay, well, now I'm just going to go a few days and try to be sober. Hardest days of my life.
Everything is so boring.
Everything is so boring. Seriously, nothing is exciting. Nothing tastes good. Oh, man.
Nothing sounds good.
Nothing sounds good. You get so used to having this dopamine just running through your system all the time, just like making everything, literally sitting in line, waiting at the DMV, like a little exciting experience, a good, fun adventure. And then when you're off of it, it's just like you could be on a roller coaster, and the roller coaster won't be as exciting.
Yes, dude.
And that's kind of what made me realize, like, I don't want to be reliant on this to get through my days, you know, and it had gotten to the point where I was relying on it to get through my days. I would smoke weed just so I could go do homework.
Yeah.
That's not how you do homework. And I think you got to realize to take the bad with the good and let there be some bad in your life. Let there be some points of boredom. Let there be some points of anxiety. And not be just trying to crush it out with drugs, because then once you come off of them, man, it's a lot easier to get anxious, a lot easier to get depressed. I think once in those immediate days and weeks following,
Oh yeah.
it can just be like hell.
Yeah.
And I realized it just wasn't healthy for me. And I would love to be a person who says, "Oh, I have great self-control. I have perfect temperance."
I would like to be able to say that too.
But it's just not really the truth. I crave things and I seek them out, and I just let that instinctual drive for pleasure and happiness sort of lead me, instead of me leading myself to where I want to go in the long run. And weed is great,
Yeah.
but it's got drawbacks.
100%, dude. I realize as the more good a thing is, it has also its equivalent drawbacks. So I believe everything is balanced out so well. I've realized. For example, ChatGPT. I don't want to talk about AI that much, but it's so useful, right? Or it's so
In case there's
effective.
teachers listening.
No, it's so effective, right?
Yeah.
But that also means it has the exact equivalent drawback.
Yeah.
As much as it's effective, it makes you equally dumb, kind of.
Yeah.
So with everything, what else? Like phones. Phones are so good, so effective, so you can access them anywhere. But that also means they have the exact equivalent drawback. You can access them anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're addicted to your phone, it's like imagine having weed in your pockets right now, all day, every day. You
I
when
have.
you wake up and you yeah, I know, but and no one cares if you smoke weed right in front of class
Right.
or when you're waiting in line. And that's what I feel is like with the phone.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, man. So things are so well balanced these days, I'm realizing.
You said you don't want to talk about AI, but I got to ask you one question about
Yes,
it,
sir.
because this has been a thought on my mind
Yeah.
a lot lately. What do you think the job market is going to look like in 10 years with AI and what it can do? Because I know they had that senior reception at K where they definitely pulled this number out of their ass, but they said that 90% of jobs today will not exist in 10 years. I have a hard time believing 90% of jobs today aren't going to exist in 10 years. But I could see a lot of, automation already has taken away a lot of jobs. You walk into a McDonald's and it's a kiosk now. They got self-driving delivery drones, and self-driving cars are becoming a thing. And for a long time in automation, for most of automation's history, it looked like one of those things where it's going to be taking away the menial labor jobs, and everyone will just have more like fulfilling, mind-activated jobs. But now it's can do art. It can paint Pablo Picasso, and ChatGPT. I never would have thought. I honestly never really thought I was going to see something like it in my lifetime, where
Really?
you have this robot you can have a full-on conversation with, and ask anything, and it'll spit you out all the answers. I mean, in a fluent, cohesive, pretty much always the same syntax. It writes like it has its own voice, sort of. It's not just like copying and pasting,
Yeah.
like the first result that comes up on Google. It is browsing a vast library of information. And anyways, this is stuff everyone knows. I'm just sort of rambling, but I mean, I wonder, are there jobs that you thought you might want to go into that you think now you just couldn't go into in that field because AI is going to take it away?
Until recently, I didn't know what jobs or what type of jobs I wanted to do. But now that I've had more idea, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Or for me, it won't matter, I feel. Because it might not be the job that I am planning for right now. But my theory on the job market is just be the best person you can be at. And I generally believe that. There was a quote by Jim Rohn. He's an old school G. He said, the central key or the biggest key to your success is the person you are, or something like that. So it just means, it doesn't matter what the job market is. It just means what type of person am I? Am I a person who can learn new skills fast, that respects people, that people respect, that is, I don't know, maybe disciplined, and hardworking and has very good attitude. And if you have all these qualities, I don't care what the job market is. I know you'll do the best possible thing that you can do for yourself. That, and these days I also want to do things that are more unique based on me. So maybe podcasts like this, or YouTube videos, or just my thoughts and experiences. So I don't think what I want to do or what any people want to do should be able to be replaced by AI, because it just means your job is, like, if you're an accountant and an AI can do that job, it just means you should find something that only you can do.
Yeah.
Is what I feel, but maybe that's too idealistic.
No, I mean, I'd like to think that's the direction that we're moving in with all of this, because like you said, like, being an accountant, being a number cruncher, being someone who just summarizes different things so they can turn it into their boss, all those jobs are going away too now with ChatGPT. I mean, like, what's the point of having a paralegal sift through like 80 different legal statutes when you can just put that into a generator, like, and have it for you, and you don't even have to pay the generator. But I don't know. I would like to think that we'll all get to move into a position where our jobs are based off of what we can create for ourselves and then share with others, rather than what can we create for others and then bring back home for ourselves. Like you were saying with podcasts and creating just sort of media for people to absorb and take away from the experience and wisdom of another. Because, I think education is the most important thing a person can do for themselves. And I think that what you're saying right now is, in a sense, becoming an educator, sort of. I mean...
Yeah, an educator by being like a constant student.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be in one of those jobs where after I've gotten a degree and after I've landed the job, I don't need to learn anything else for 30 years.
Yeah.
That's how you get replaced, by not being able to learn anything. So if there's a job where I constantly need to learn or I'm constantly improving myself, I don't think AI can do it. But that is also my opinion.
No.
But I feel good, bro. I realize as long as you are I don't know, I really listen to or observe Stoic philosophy.
Mm.
And he says, as a wise man, it won't, to my ideal wise man, the job market or nothing will matter to him. Because imagine the job market is horrible and he doesn't get a good job. He will still be kind of satisfied doing his best.
Yeah.
But he will want to do his very best, as in succeed in all things. But imagine he doesn't get a job or he's not able to make his podcast succeed. But he'll still find happiness in maybe giving it his best. So it's just, dude, outside things I try, or the ideal wise man never lets it kind of influence it too much.
Yep.
Or that's what I hope to be. But that's...
I think that's something else that has changed in me over this past year is that I feel like I've adopted a little bit more of that Stoic philosophy, like you're talking about. Although I never would have, I until I met you, I didn't actually know what Stoic philosophy was, and I'm very grateful to have met you for that reason and a plethora of others on top of it. But this realization that I'm the only one who can really make me feel validated.
Yes, dude. There's no one else can do it for you, but that also means no one else can take it from you until you give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so beautiful.
You got to hold on to it, and you got to hold on to it tight, because
yes, dude,
there will be people who try to take it from you.
Because I was talking to someone recently, and they were like, if I don't get this grade, I'll feel so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, if they laugh at me, I'll feel so bad. And I was like, whoa. That just means, like, anyone can judge you or anyone can laugh at you, and then you'll feel bad.
Yeah.
So I realized there's like an internal conflict within us. If someone laughs at me and I feel bad, that means I don't fully respect myself somewhat.
Yeah.
I always value their opinions maybe more than mine.
Yeah.
And that helps me sometimes make my decisions. Maybe if I'm doing something and I'm taking action, and then in my head I sometimes think, whoa, I shouldn't be doing this. This could be embarrassing. But then I'm like, whoa, do I really care about what they think more than I? And I'm like, no, bro, I'm too good. I'm sentient. Or I try to hype myself up, and I'm like, I'll do this shit anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it works, it doesn't work. But when it works, you always feel better. Even if you embarrass yourself, you're like, so what? I just want to do it. I did it.
Yeah, you learn from it. It's all a learning experience. And letting others take away your happiness is the direct path to unhappiness.
Yes, dude. There was this time where I saw a very cute girl, and I was like, what do I do? What will she think? Should I talk to her? But I was like, no, Senchy. Do you care more about her opinion or your opinion of yourself? And that was I still pat myself back on, maybe I shouldn't be thinking about the past too much, but I still like that decision I made. I just went, I talked, and I got rejected. But even after that, I was smiling. I was like, wow. Because I care more about what I think about myself. Or at least I try to.
No, rejection is not actually as bad of a feeling as I always thought it would be.
Right.
Because at least you can look back on it and say, well, I tried and I didn't succeed, which is a way better feeling than looking back on something and saying, yeah, I didn't even try to go do that. I didn't even try to ask her out. I didn't even try to talk to her. I was just so afraid of it. You can look back and view yourself as still having conquered something, even if you didn't achieve the goal that you thought you were going to.
100%, dude. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic guy, said, what were you trying to do? You weren't trying to succeed. You were just trying to try. And then you have succeeded, he says. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
That really, that.
No, that hits deep.
So you weren't trying to do the impossible. You're just trying to try. And I'm like, wow.
Try to try. That's the least we can all do. And the most.
Yes.
And the most. Clap. Start.
And we're back.
All right. You got to put a Ridge Wallet sponsorship in there or something?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Should I put some sponsorships?
Start just pushing for sponsorships before they even pay you. Be like, drink Dasani water at the beginning of every podcast, and eventually they'll pick up.
I'm going to have to bleep that out because they're not giving me money.
No, not yet.
Please drink water.
Drink water. Just drink water. Everyone drink water. Be sponsored by God. Tell everyone to drink water.
Yeah, but what do you think? Should I make money out of this, you think? Would you be fine if I made money out of our talks?
Oh, yeah, I'd be totally fine with that. I would be rooting for you all the way.
Dude, it's interesting because when I didn't realize it was so easy to just publish content. I don't know, because I always think, whoa, podcasts, look at them. They're way up there.
Yeah.
It's like, how will I ever do that? But all I need is a phone and to ask some people in this school, and here we are.
Yeah, phone and a microphone, camera, and just someone to talk to.
And dude, there are so many interesting people to talk to, I realized.
Yeah, there
Look
are.
at you, Mr. Sean Gates.
I bet you'll get some more famous people on here. Hey, you started off with Chilo Tom, world-renowned Chilo Tom.
Chilo Tom. But he's known as Sean's roomie.
I always like to think of myself as Chilo's roomie, so I guess we got a good symbiotic relationship going.
Well, that's good, dude.
Yeah.
So tell me, I always have this is what I do. When there's a lull in the conversation, I just ask the guests, what questions would you like to ask? What would you like to talk about? So I put all the pressure from me. that's
just take it all off.
Yeah. I just...
What was your first reaction like when you moved to Kalamazoo, wondrous Kalamazoo from Nepal?
I don't know my first reaction, but I can tell the attitude, or I can just look back on myself, and I think I was trying to convince myself that I was feeling good, or not feeling good, but I was more nervous than I admitted.
Yeah.
And it was more of a shock than I admitted.
Yeah.
And probably I was more anxious than I would like to admit.
Yeah.
So those were the things. I don't remember my exact reactions, but I was telling myself, or even my parents, I was like, okay, I'm feeling good, I'm doing good. But somewhere I was like, whoa, this is kind of new. Why do I think this way? Why do I feel? So it was kind of interesting. It took me a while to get in track with my own thoughts and feelings. And they were definitely not helped by addictions and by substances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went through that when I first came here. Didn't feel the best. Went into substances, but then stopped. And then those were difficult days. But after the stopping, there has been like a light, or I saw the light. And now I'm feeling, these days I feel pretty good. And whenever I like meet with people, they're like, Senchin, how are you feeling? So happy or like jolly all the time? And I'm like, I don't know, but I do know I went through a lot of difficulties to maybe get here.
Yeah.
The things I do, I try not to check my phone too much.
Mm.
If it's more than an hour of screen time a day, I'm like, whoa, that's bad.
Yeah.
Or look at my phone first thing in the morning. I try to meditate. So those things.
No, that's good to have those practices to keep your concentration in check. I think the less happy I'm feeling, the less concentrated I'm feeling. And I don't know if the two...
Dude, that's 100%.
I don't know if it goes both ways, but I feel like it does. Like the less I'm able to concentrate on things, then also the less happy I will be. When you came here, you started these substances. Were they new to you? I'm guessing you're probably talking about like alcohol and marijuana.
And nicotine.
And nicotine. Oh yeah.
So yeah, those things I guess were not new to me, but how accessible they were was shockingly new to me. Like vape especially, it was very accessible.
Yeah.
And it was everywhere, and people these days, they don't even blink an eye. I mean, I see some people using it in class, and people are like, okay, I guess. But for me, I realized the same thing, as good as it is, that means it has an equal repercussion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we'll just talk about addictions, but this is what I feel. My first concern with vape was actually health-wise. I was like, is this going to harm my health? Or is this going to harm my, lungs?
Yeah.
Am I going to get cancer or something? And then I convinced myself, okay, it's not a big deal, the health thing. But then I realized my folly was even thinking about the health thing. Health thing, I realized, is not the biggest deal for me. It's more like a mental thing. Because we are animals, and if we do something that's supposedly good, our body kind of rewards us. So when we eat tasty food, our body kind of feels good, because our caveman ancestors, that would be good if they found like a pile of honey and they ate all of it.
Yeah.
Because for them, that's how they would survive.
Yeah.
But for us, it's kind of been hijacked, those pleasure like centers or something. So when I take a hit, my 50,000-year-old monkey brain thinks, oh, Senchin, you did good. You found like a pile of sugar or something, or a banana or a sugar cane in the wild. But no, bro, I just bought a $20 worth, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I
so
feel
it just
the exact same
hijacks
thing.
that,
It totally hijacks it. I've been vaping since I was 16, with a lot of on and off periods, and I'm sitting here right now, unproudly, with a breeze in my pocket.
Oh,
and boy,
breeze,
man, it is hard to stop once you start.
It is hard to stop.
I've gone.
But you said you had periods of on and off. So how did that work?
I've had some periods of on and off. I've gone like up to a few months at a time where I stop, and then all it takes is one day, like one day of being like, nah, I think I'll just do this again. I think I'm like I'm feeling kind of stressed right now.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hop in my car. I'm gonna run up to a vape store, and I'm just gonna buy myself just that little bit of extra relief. And man, that's the most damning part about it is that it's,
like, it's bad, but you still kind of do it.
It's bad, you still kind of do it, and then all it takes is a momentary lapse in willpower for you to feel like you're just back at square one all over again.
Yeah, dude, addictions are they're tricky, they're difficult, but I also know that once you get out, it's like you feel as I said, there's an equal balance too.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's difficult to see the end, like light at the end of the tunnel.
It is. I think it's hard too because sometimes you don't know what that light is going to look like.
Yeah.
You just know that this thing's not working out for you right now, but you don't actually know what will be working out for you. I mean, I think with vapes, and just nicotine in general, I've gone through so many different ways of trying to quit. I remember when I was a freshman 4 years ago, I was like, you know what, these vapes aren't doing it for me. I really need to stop. I need to quit. I need to get healthy. I think I'm going to start smoking some nice, organic earth-grown
Weed.
tobacco cigarettes.
Oh.
And so I started smoking cigarettes instead. Because I was like, well, at least with these I can like count them and know how much I'm taking in. Because with vapes, it's so
Yes.
easy, especially you just sit there, you're at your computer or whatever, and you don't even think about the fact that you're ripping a breeze, that you just hit it like 18 times in a row. But with the cigarette, at least you got to like step outside. You get the 20 a pack or whatever, and you get a count. Be like, okay, I'm rationing myself out. I'm only gonna smoke 5 today. Still, and make sure where you're going with that. I think the accessibility of vapes is like mentally the most damaging part
Yes, dude.
about them.
Anywhere, your room, in the morning, in the evening,
Mhm.
before you sleep, in the class, in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just too easy. Like there's got to be like that little barrier to make you feel like you have a little bit more control.
That, and there's also a lack of stigma, I realized. Because when you smoke cigarettes, you can't really smoke cigarettes inside class.
No,
But
you
I've,
could try.
I've seen so many people smoking cigarettes, smoking vapes in classrooms.
Yeah.
And whoa, I realized I do not think that's good.
No, I agree. I don't think it is either. And if you smoke cigarettes, you got to walk around smelling like cigarettes.
Yeah, there's like a cost.
Yeah.
But with vape, nothing, bro. You can't even tell.
No. I really wonder what's going to happen to us in like 40, 50 years from now once our generation, we have people who have been vaping their entire lives, and it turns out like, oh, these are the side effects. I grew a third mutated lung that's now swallowing all of my other organs or something
Dude,
like
I
that.
also but I realized that it's not even health. Like, imagine even if vaping was the best thing ever. Like, it made no change to your health.
Yeah.
How you were today, and in 10 years after smoking vape, it'd be the same thing if you didn't smoke for the 10 years. But I realized that's not it. It's kind of, it saps your motivation.
Yeah.
Because as I was saying, example, to do this podcast, like there was some sort of friction, I had to ask a few people, do this, set out times, learn to do a few things.
Mm.
And then I knew, because there's going to be an appropriate reward. Because when I published that first episode, I feel, whoa, that feels good. Because
Yeah.
there's like a dopamine hit in my brain, actually. But if I get that through easily without having to do anything difficult, then I realized it saps my motivation to do anything. So
Yeah.
I realized when I was on substances, there was no point, bro. What's the point in going to the gym and feeling good when I can feel good right now without going to the gym? And or like, what's the point in feeling proud of yourself after you talk to a girl when you don't have to? You can just. So for me, I realized, as I was saying, health is not even in that discussion for me. It's just my motivation to do things.
It changes the way your brain works, that's for sure. And you want to have those variety of experiences too. I think that's kind of the allure a little bit of substances, is you get that varied state of mind that changes the way you experience different things. But
I'm
then,
not saying weed is bad, bro. Sometimes it can just make you think so well, or like just notice new things.
oh yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot of really smart people who smoke a lot of weed. That's for sure. Like I feel like I know a few professors. Like there's just gotta be something about the way the brain works that makes it really change creatively when you smoke weed. I think it lets you think in different patterns in ways that you just wouldn't have otherwise. And I think that really is a good part of weed. I don't know how much you get that with other substances, like alcohol, for example. I think alcohol really does kind of just sap the brain and make it like a little bit like
Like
smaller.
less inhibitions. You have less inhibitions. But that's
Exactly.
Dude, so changing topics completely.
Yeah. Okay.
I asked some of my guests, how do you get girls?
I don't. That's my trick.
Or what's your strat, or what's your idea behind it? Like, what's the point? What are we doing here? How should you be? What's your philosophy?
I got a philosophy that I don't think is very applicable to most guys. I
Okay.
sort of have this thing with girls where I will meet one, and then we'll have
I
like
like you-
yeah, stuff.
Me too.
That's the big, most important
Yeah,
step. Meet a girl
Yeah.
and getting them, and then if I start developing feelings for them, I start to realize I really like them. My brain goes instantly to, all right, so what are our children going to look like?
Wow. I can-
What's coming home after 9 to 5 going to look like? And I get way, way too into it, and I think way too far ahead, I think. Like, if I meet a girl and I start to like her, it's like instant, like, okay, so is this the one? How are our lives going to be shaped together by each other? And I think I think for most people, and I think it's better for most people, and it would be better for me to just think about it a little more simply, like, okay, so what can each moment by moment basis be to be better? I don't really know about getting girls because on one hand, I feel like it's not something I pursue as much as a lot of other guys I know. Like I'm not on the prowl to like put notches in my bedpost. I don't put notches in my bedpost. I want to make that one clear first. But I'm not really like, I'm not trying to get like just a body count or build up different experiences with different girls, because I've always been looking and waiting for the one. And man, that is a dangerous mindset to have. It leads to a lot of heartbreak.
So it also means you believe in the one. So there is one lady who you'll spend the rest of your life with, and you'll love her at first sight, maybe.
I think I would like to, because I don't know if I believe in like a soulmate, the one. There have definitely been times when I was younger when I used to feel that way, but I think honestly, having been through a couple like long-term relationships, and not necessarily that they all worked out, but you sort of realize like, okay, I just have like a compatibility overlap. It's sort of like a Venn diagram of like, where do I fit in with other people who are sort of like me and share similar interests and commonalities and think similarly. I think to be waiting for like that one perfect person, you're going to close yourself off to a lot of
Yeah.
really great people that are compatible. And you're just going to make yourself, I think, more unhappy by saying there is only one person out of 7.5 billion people that could possibly work, that could possibly fit in, because there's a lot of fish in the sea, but the clock's ticking. You want to find a person and then settle down with them. You don't want to be like waiting until you're 40 or 50, still thinking to yourself, well, I haven't found the perfect person, but I'm still looking. I think you got to have a little bit of compromise. Is kind of a sad word. It's got some negative connotations to me to say compromise, but you got to compromise with yourself. You got to be a little bit more realistic about like that if you are an attractive, good, if you're an attractive, outgoing person, especially, I think you'll have just a lot more chances to get to meet and get to know people. I think maybe if I was like super introverted, then I would believe a little bit more in the one, just because I would have fewer opportunities, if that makes sense. Like fewer chances to
Meetings.
fewer meetings, fewer people I feel compatible with just as a whole if I were to be more introverted. And so I think then when I were to have really met the right person, or for an introvert to meet the right person, they're more likely to find someone that they consider to be the one than someone who's outgoing and able to meet many of the ones. 'Cause I felt like that, honestly, with different girls in my life, where I've met them and I've thought, oh, this is the one. And then you meet another person and you're like, oh, no, she's the one. And you keep going on and keep going on like that. And I think it makes you realize, there isn't really the one. There can't be the one if there's been like 5 ones, you know?
Yeah.
What about you? Do you believe in the one?
No, I don't think there's one specific person.
No.
No, I don't think there's one specific person meant for you. I'm sure there are many possibilities.
Yeah.
I don't even know, man. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But I just know I just want to be satisfied with my partner.
Right.
It doesn't kind of really matter. Like, okay, they don't have this, they don't have this, they don't have that. For me, it's like a binary. Is it 0 or 1? Like, would I date them? Like, would I go out or not? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that.
I think that's a better attitude to have towards yourself, too, because you can't just always be wanting more things. Want is the fuel of unhappiness. You got to be content and satisfied with what you have and learn to make it work. There's always going to be more things to have in the world. There's more riches than there can be filled in a single lifetime. And so just cherishing and appreciating what you have, that will make you happy. If you aren't appreciating what you have and you're always wanting more, you're never going to feel like you have enough.
How does that work with art? Because sometimes we do art just for the sake of doing art. So is that why you do theater, maybe? Or like, why do you do theater then? Because some people could say, if you're satisfied at everything, why even do anything at all, kind of?
Yeah. Well, you got to find something to do with your life. I don't think satisfaction and apathy are the exact same thing. I mean, I think if you were to just lay in bed all day.
What does apathy mean?
Just sort of like
caring?
Yeah, not caring. I think satisfaction means you have an appreciation for the beauty of things.
I like that difference.
And not doing anything, that's just not caring, and that's not. You got to love life. You have to love life itself. You got to love being alive, and if you aren't doing anything, that means you probably don't really love life enough. And for me, doing theater is a great way to express my love for humanity and the way that humans work and operate. Every time I read a different character, I get to experience a different person, what it's like to be someone else. And that changes the way my own brain works. It changes my own perceptions of the world. It opens up my mind and my perception of interactions with others. I feel like with every character I've done, every bit I've played, I have absorbed that character into myself and become a new person with that character that I'm playing always lingering around in me somewhere. I feel like for example, having played Iago in Othello, there will always be a little bit of Iago working in my mind, like dictating my thoughts, giving me input.
I never thought of that, but that's very cool.
And for that one can be a little dangerous. You don't want to turn into a villain in real life, but having that additional train of thought is helpful in create a full understanding of any situation. It just gives valuable perspective. I feel like everyone is really like thousands of different people in their head waiting to come out at the right moment. Like I'm a different person sitting on the beach in Florida drinking a tropical alcoholic smoothie than I am sitting in class trying to discuss ethics or psychology. And I'm a different person sitting at my family dinner table, having dinner with my sister and talking to them than I am sitting at my friend's house, eating a bunch of junk food and tacos and whatever. I think expanding the more people you have in your head, it's turned me into a fuller person. In that I can appreciate others more now that I've gotten into the headspace of how others think. I also just think theater is a beautiful expression of emotions and stories. I think reading stories, listening to stories, watching plays and movies and films opens up to the viewer a different world from their own. It takes you out of reality into a different place. It's like an ethereal plane, honestly, of storytelling and fantasy and fiction that is real, that does really exist, but just not in front of your own eyes. Well, it does exist in front of your own eyes when you're watching it, but it gives you an understanding of what the world is like beyond the world that you live in.
Whoa, that's too cool. You know what's so cool about that, dude?
Huh.
It's like when you were speaking and I was listening, I was kind of like entranced, or like in a trance. And I was like, whatever you're saying is true, bro. Because since I'm hearing you, my view of the world itself has changed, or my understanding of you has somewhat changed, or the person I am now has changed. Like even in the 5 minutes or like the few minutes that you spoke. So man, art and content is interesting.
Art, it's the most human thing we have. I mean, that's what defines humanity. I think that's what separates us from animals, is that we have this ability to create beauty in the world. All other animals, they're just trying to survive, trying to create whatever it is that'll give them protection and shelter and get food. But we're here for something more, something a little bit greater. And that's sort of what drives me, I think, to retain like spiritual beliefs, is that there is this creative energy that we see. Like when we look at an artwork, that we don't really understand what draws us to it so much. We just know that we are drawn to it. We know that we find value in it. And I don't think anyone can really explain why we do. I don't think it has an evolutionary advantage to be able to paint or to sing. I mean, I guess you could say like reproductive advantages, but even then, why is that attractive,
Oh, that's too cool. I never thought of that.
Makes me think we're all here for some greater purpose.
So then would aliens also have art?
Aliens would have to have art.
Why? Have to?
I mean, not aliens that are intelligent, I think, that fly over to Earth. I mean, are we talking about aliens like, are we talking about like what would an alien bison or buffalo or alien dog look like? Or are we talking about like an alien equivalent of human beings?
I don't know if there could be an alien equivalent of human beings, but I just mean foreign species not from Earth.
Yeah.
Would they have art too, as long as they're intelligent? And what does that even mean, to be intelligent?
I think to be intelligent means to just be able to think. It means to be able to think.
Like what? Like where my food is, like a lion?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. What is intelligence?
Come on, bro, I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
So I like what I'm saying.
I think it's the ability to create. I think intelligence is in the ability to create, the ability to share. I think
so like share what you've created.
Share what you've created, and I think that's kind of, that is the basis of art. It's sharing your creativity. If no one could view other works of art, like I don't think people would be making them. I don't know. I think art can't exist in a vacuum. Art has to be able to be seen and appreciated in order for it to really exist as art. Otherwise, it's just some markings on a cave. I would imagine aliens have art, but sometimes when I think about aliens, I wonder, are we really all that intelligent? Like, what would 100,000 more years of human evolution do to our ability to create and to share? I mean, are these aliens looking at us? If they are out there, I think they're out there. You think they're aliens?
I don't know.
I think there are, but I think it's a complicated paradox because, like, if there are aliens,
Where are they?
Where are they? Yeah, how come we haven't seen them? But this is going to get into a bit of conspiracy theory, but I honestly think
No, bro. Everything that shocked us and now is real started out as a conspiracy theory.
it did. I think around the Milky Way, if there are aliens out there, I would imagine that they might have like put up some sort of projection or hologram or something
that prevents us from seeing the outside.
Prevents us from seeing outside of our galaxy.
That could be like when we, encase a bunch of ants inside a glass anthill.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, we're ruling the world.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason I think that is because I do believe the universe is too big for there not to be aliens, and I think we would have liked.
But then, how do we know that the universe is so big?
I think some folks at NASA grabbed a ruler one day and they just started measuring.
I know, but
I know.
Imagine.
No, I'm kidding.
I know, but there's a way they measured it and they knew it was big. So if aliens were doing that, they would clearly not. If they were hiding us and they wanted us not to know,
Yeah.
they would make sure we thought it was very small.
Yeah. Well,
But it could also be true that it's so big that there's no one in our near our vicinity.
yeah,
So I don't know with this, man.
that's true. But we can see far. I mean, it takes time for light to travel, but we can, we can see, I think, theoretically, to like the end of the universe. There, as long as there's not like light pollution blocking the way, you just point a telescope in any direction, and you should be able to see everything that's going on all the way to the edges of the universe. It's just at the edges of the universe there isn't any light or anything. So
And how is it? How do we
technically
know
you
it's the
can't
edge
see
of the universe? What's beyond? Maybe it's just like we're a bunch of cavemen thinking, dude, at the end of this lake is a gorge, and by
Yeah.
that, like, it's just the end of the world. It just falls off.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the universe is supposed to loop around, right? Like it exists in like so many planes, and like it's not just 3-dimensional.
I have no
There's
idea.
like 14 dimensions, and so.
And what if
it's hard
aliens
for us.
inhabit more than 3 dimensions?
Oh man,
See, so these questions, I don't know.
you would have seen a lot of things.
Yeah, like maybe they had a conversation with us at another time, and maybe our roles were reversed.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. I think if there are aliens, though, they might very well have good reason to just be afraid of us.
Okay.
We are a bunch of monkeys running around, and we have nuclear warheads that we could launch anywhere in the universe.
Dude, but bro, those nukes probably do nothing. Imagine they have like armor, alien grade armor.
I don't know.
That stops the sun.
That's
That they could cover up the sun or something.
yeah. That's
So
true.
Nuclear weapons probably does nothing to them.
Maybe. But what if we find out there are aliens and we launch nuclear weapons at non-intelligent aliens? Say we look out in the
Bro, then it's game over for them.
Well, yeah, then it's game over for them. But say there's like there's every 10th planet has intelligent life on. Every 10th planet with life on it has intelligent life that like build
Yeah.
spaceships or whatever. Then there's still like 9 other planets that are just like fish and alien birds and alien bacteria and whatever. We could still just launch a nuke at one of those and just completely eradicate an entire planet of life.
But for how long? Because eventually it could probably be like a meteor strike.
Yeah.
Once it hits, just new life forms around that. So maybe new bacteria that take advantage of radiation come up and they become stronger.
Yeah.
So it all depends, I feel.
Let me ask you something else. If you could
Yes,
be
sir.
immortal
Yes.
in this world,
Yes.
upload your brain to a computer and just
Yes.
live forever, would you do it?
Definitely not.
No?
No.
Why not?
I want to die.
That's dark.
No, not because I want to die, but because it's like a play.
Yeah.
Would you take part in a play that never ends? Because there is something so sweet. Would you read an essay that never has a conclusion?
That's true.
You might think it's good, but the best part of the essay is almost like when it all ties together.
Yeah.
When you, to conclude, full stop. You're like, oh, there's a catharsis to an end, dude. And you can't have a beginning without an end, I feel. Because imagine if you, it's no, dude, you must pass away. I feel that's one of the laws of nature.
It's part of life. I feel like you could get pretty miserable.
Dude, you could.
If you
Because
just
I was
live
reading
forever.
the book Percy Jackson, and I know it seems kind of silly to bring up a children's novel. But have you read Percy Jackson?
Oh yeah, I was a Percy Jackson kid growing up.
Yeah,
It's not
Me
silly.
too. Yeah, it's not silly at all.
No,
But it's far
no,
too cool,
yeah.
right? But the gods are like, oh, you mortals are so lucky because you have excitement.
Yeah.
You never know, bro. I could die right now crossing the road. That's why I go talk to that girl.
Yeah.
I could die right now. That's why I give it my best when I play soccer or when I do this podcast. But if you don't, you're like, there's always tomorrow. There's always someone else who's interesting. There's always someone else. So no, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Time is a big motivator. I mean, if you had an infinite number of days, why not just lay in bed for 10 million straight?
Yeah, play is like life. It is not how long it lasts, but the ending, someone said. And bro, I dig, bro. So what about you? Would you upload your brain in a computer and live forever?
I would be worried about what the program might do to me more than anything else. Like, what if I upload my brain to a computer, but it turns out that they uploaded me to literal digital hell, and they're like, all right, so we've got this guy's brain and reactions and emotional processing. Let's run some experiments. What happens when someone's getting their fingernails pulled out for 20 years in a row? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a
But
lot
otherwise,
of
if
manipulation.
there was no risk, even and it's not even upload in a computer. Say there's a god and the god's like, Sean, Mr. Gates, you want to live forever? If you say yes, you will be able to live forever, but you will not be able to take it back. So once you have said yes to living forever, you'll live forever.
I think
Forever. Forever, bro.
forever.
Like even after the universe ends, you'll still be there.
Honestly, yeah, I might take it.
Oh,
I might take it. There's a
But you could
lot
be
of
like a old-
experiences you could have.
Old sage who's seen everything.
I don't know, because I don't know if you can ever run out of
But I don't
things
know
to
when.
do.
Bro, you probably can.
Not as long as there's people creating new experiences to be had, you know?
Yes, but at the end of the day, even those experiences, I feel will come to a somewhat of a limited end. I imagine you're a billionaire right now, and you're like, wow, or like 20 billion, and you can spend your money doing whatever. You might think you have endless experiences, right?
Mm.
But I bet in like 5 years you'll be bored
Yeah.
because I know there are quote unquote unlimited experiences, but once you've gone to one fancy 5-star hotel or five very fancy hotels,
Yeah.
then the rest of the 100,000 fancy hotels are like all the same.
Yeah.
Or eaten a very good meal, then all of them get the same. So
No, but they'll change in their definitions with time, though, is the thing. Like a 5-star hotel, well, I mean, they wouldn't have been ranked by stars back then, but like say you go to like a fancy hotel in the Roman Republic, that's going to be super different from even going to visit that exact same hotel in the year 2023. Even if it's the same place, it's going to be new people, it's going to be a new culture, there's going to be new facilities in there.
yes, but studying history has shown me that, dude, some things they don't change that much.
Yeah.
Some things they don't change that much. Like people in power, they try to stay in power.
Yeah.
Like that'll probably never change.
Yeah.
Or just these small things, countries going to war or countries trying to compete over different interests.
Yeah.
Even now it has changed and it's not maybe military.
Yeah.
But countries still try to compete for different interests and influences. And that has not changed if it even was in like ancient China or right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's the principles by which people live by, but they still have different means of living through those principles. And I think
that I can agree, but I feel like well, that's just my opinion, that you could probably eventually get bored of it,
yeah,
because forever is a very long time.
yeah,
It's far longer than 100 million years.
yeah. That's true. That's true. But I mean, humans have been around only such a short amount of time. I think, yeah, part of my reason in saying yes to that is just because I literally cannot conceptualize an infinite amount of time. I can tell you a long amount of time, but even then, I probably couldn't. No clue what it would be like to live for 1,000 years, much less an infinite number of
Yeah, I
years.
just thought that, wow, humans have this concept of infinity,
Yeah,
but I realized it never exists in nature. It's just like a human concept we made. So imagine there's a state of matter that doesn't exist. We'll call it spritey or something.
okay.
Even though it sounds silly, but imagine humans theorize this state and we're like, what will happen if you turn into this state?
Yeah,
But what if there's no state like that in the universe? So we're kind of just theorizing on something that, since we have imagination, we can imagine it, but it can never come into being.
yeah. No, that's
Like infinity, or like living forever, because humans have the idea that gods live forever, but it's just a human idea, and even that idea itself won't live forever. So how could God live forever? But that's just me.
yeah. The universe is only 14 billion
Yeah.
years old. It's not. Universe hasn't even been around forever.
Right?
Who knows what was there before it? But maybe that's just our limitations. We have to frame everything in terms of time,
Oh, yeah.
and can't really understand the infinity like that.
Yeah. Dude, so tell me about your Fulbright. How did that come about?
Oh well, honestly.
Or what is it really?
So it's an English.
And
teaching,
why is it really?
English teaching assistantship? I've always had a love for my teachers. Always been a little bit of a teacher's pet, unfortunately, I think. But I've always.
Fortunately for the teachers.
Yeah, sure. I just sort of love education, and I find it very intrinsically valuable. It's just good because education is good. I don't really have any. I can't give you really non-circular reasons. I could give you non-circular reasons as to why education is good, but I think the best reason education is good is just because it is, because that's what being alive is about. And so I've always wanted to teach and sort of pass on what I know to others and help others flourish in life. I think education is the key to flourishing and experiencing the world as it is. And so teaching English has been a long dream of mine, but so has travel. And so doing a Fulbright has been is going to be the perfect opportunity to really combine those two dreams of mine into the same action. Austria picked me. I wanted to go to Austria because it's a German-speaking country, and I majored in German, and honestly, it feels like if I'm going to get a major in something, I should probably try using it for at least a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be a great opportunity for me to better my German. And I really wanted to go somewhere also that I've never been before. I've been to Germany. I've been fortunate enough. I've had the privilege of having gone to Germany a few times now, and I love it there. But I'm looking for something a little bit new. And it's got a great outdoor scene. I'm really looking forward to just wandering through mountains and just clearing my mind. You know, nothing clears my mind quite like just a stroll through nature.
Yes.
I really just get this sort of spiritual bliss when I'm surrounded by a bunch of trees and the skies over me, and I'm just using my brain to move my body, and that's all I'm really using it for, you know? Just that unconscious desire to keep moving forward. Yeah, it's sort of gonna be like a spiritual self-searching
Right.
journey for me,
And
right?
teaching. So it's like what sages did 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And if there's anything I would like to be more like in life, it's like a sage. Have you read the Tao Te Ching?
Oh, parts of it.
Parts of it? Yeah, yeah.
For me, I realized I cut you off, but
No,
I realized when I was reading one page, I tried to read it too fast, and I realized I just need to simmer on a page. So I think I'm in the fourth or third page, but I'm simmering over each page.
That's how you know it's
Like, bro, because you
good,
gotta
though.
simmer on it.
You
Like,
do. Each word has value. There's no filler in it. It is all important. And yeah, you got to take a page. You got to take it page by page, read it once, read it twice, read it 30 times over to yourself. And even then, the more you read it, you just gain a fuller understanding of it. But it's
you
like,
also get less of it too.
yeah, a little bit. And you know, that's the duality of that it talks about so much in the book, is that
Right.
you can't have one. There's
Without
there's
the
two
other.
sides to every coin. Yeah.
That and also this one line, I thought of it for so long, and I'm still thinking about it. The way that can be named is not the way. And I'm like, what does that mean? So for right now, in my limited understanding, I just feel it means if I say something like this is God, or I call something God, I am putting restrictions on it by calling it God, because I have certain ideas what God is and certain views what it is. So the moment I say, okay, this is the way, then that doesn't become the way, because it's my view of the way, or my constraint, my limited understanding of the way is what I feel. But I'm sure there are so many interpretations. This one line.
Yeah. Language is kind of a prison like that. I mean, it's good.
Right.
It gets you to express yourself, but you can't really ever express what you truly mean, because you have to put it into words that everyone can understand, and you know, everyone who speaks a language can understand, and all the agreed upon definitions. But everything's going to have its own different variation to the individual of what that word means, like its own specific personal connotations of what God is, what the way is. And so no one can name the way, because it is wisdom beyond the jail of words.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how is such wisdom conveyed to us in words? So it's very
I don't
interesting.
know.
Words.
I think that's where meditation comes in.
Dude, I realize meditation is too cool.
Yeah.
It's
Meditation is too cool.
because I used to. Okay, please tell me why you think it's cool.
I mean, I think that's how you really communicate with yourself without words, is by just sitting there and feeling and absorbing the energy, which sounds, I don't want to
Not to me.
sound too much like a Wiccan here, or a
Is
witch.
a what? A witch?
Like a witch, but like seriously, like, I mean, there's so much more to feeling things than can ever be put into words. Just sitting there and trying to determine what you're, I don't know, it's hard to explain with words. This feeling
right.
you get without words. Yeah, that you just become in tune with yourself when you're meditating. You get this deep spiritual like understanding. Yeah. Why do you think meditation is cool?
I think meditation is cool. At least I see it. I can agree with what you said, and what you've said has actually enlightened me, or
Yeah.
given me a different perspective on it. But the way I think of it is, you are kind of not your emotions or your superficial thoughts.
Yeah.
So imagine I look at someone, I think a certain way, like I think, oh, they're so stupid, or they do something silly, and in my head I can almost think, oh, what's this guy doing? He's silly.
Yeah.
But a part of me also knows that's bad. Like I should be respectful to everyone.
Right.
And then previously, before meditation, I used to be like, whoa, I have this bad thought, that mean I'm a bad person. But meditation has helped me realize that these superficial thoughts aren't me. Because I read in a book, it said, if you can observe the thoughts, then it's not you. I can see this phone that's recording this,
Yeah.
or I can see something that happened on the screen there, right?
Oh yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
We'll
all
go
right,
on. But
all right.
so I can see you. That means I must not be you because I can see you.
Yeah.
But it also means if I can see my thoughts or observe my thoughts, I am not my thoughts.
Yeah.
So it just kind of, meditation gives me a, what you say?
Spiritual filling.
Yeah, like a break from,
From a break from thinking with words.
yeah, like you don't have to be your feelings or your words.
Yeah.
I'm just sentient, man.
Speaking. Hello all, I'm Sean Patrick Gates. And I love Taco Bell. Oh man, please sponsor us.